A warning. The following podcast contains distressing content involving suicide. Please call Lifeline on 13 11 14 if you are affected by any of the content featured in this episode.
Hi, welcome to Kids Helpline. We're a free counselling service for young people in Australia aged 5 to 25. A counsellor is waiting to talk with you. Remember that your call is private and you don't have to tell us your name.
Why wouldn't he talk to us about what was going on?
And I think even last year, we had contact from about 60 young people under the age of 10 reaching out for support in relation to suicide.
There's just wishing and hoping and praying that the medical people were wrong, that she would pull through so that I could see her smiley face again.
It's been taboo for a long time that people just don't want to go there and hear about suicide.
You've got to talk. You've got to talk to your friends, talk to your parents, talk to your neighbours, talk to your dog, talk to someone.
Suicide is the leading cause of death for children and young people in Australia. This is the story of the parents of a child who has died by suicide. Parents who are doing everything they can to raise awareness and help others.
Hello.
It must be Andrea.
Yes, it's so lovely to finally meet you.
John is the president of the Compassionate Friends Australia. Compassionate Friends is a support group for parents and siblings who have lost a child.
This room here is a library, but there's books here on grief and also aspects around grief and grieving.
We're walking through a beautiful office and down the hall to where they have their support group meetings.
And this is a multi-purpose room, a meeting room where we have our grief support groups. So the suicide grief support meets here, the men's group meets here, we have a daytime group that meets here, and also an evening group that meets, so once a month for each of them.
There are butterflies everywhere. It looks like someone took a bucket of beautiful butterflies and threw it on the walls.
We have butterflies being a symbol of being, I suppose, freedom, beautiful, just like our children. They can fly high.
You have them all around?
They're all around, yes. The butterflies are all over. We have them on our name tags. We can choose a butterfly. People will donate butterflies to us.
John has dedicated his life to helping other parents after his life was turned upside down 14 years ago when his daughter Heather died.
9 years prior to Heather dying, her mother died, and Heather blamed herself for her mother's death. And I think that she blamed herself for her mother's death, and despite all the assurances that I could give her and everybody else that I know of, I think she still had that feeling that it was her fault that her mother died, and there's a whole set of circumstances with that. So Heather then coped with that by self-medicating and then addictions to alcohol and other substances, so that she had spiraled out of control, really. She actually attempted to take her own life on the 27th of November, but that resulted in her being on life support system for the most agonising, intense, thoughtful, longest 6 days of my life, as I just wishing and hoping and praying that the medical people were wrong, that she would pull through. And so that I could see her smiley face again, give her a hug, tell her that I loved her, and also tell her there was other options she could take. And of course that didn't happen. I switched the machine off on the 2nd of December at 11 o'clock in the morning, and she died about 45 minutes later. She had her hands kind of grasping at my finger between her hands. The slight squeeze of my finger. Took her last breath. Like Sandra was saying before, you asked the question why. Cry myself asleep at night asking why.
After his daughter died, John found out that there was a support group for parents who were bereaved by suicide. There were 25 people in the room that night.
They'd all lost a child to suicide. And I just had that feeling that night these people knew what I was going through. That lived experience is powerful. And these people all had the lived experience. They talked about the children. They were quite open. The fact that their child had died by suicide, because everyone that was there was a specific suicide-specific group. They mentioned their name, which was comforting to hear them talking about their name, and I could talk it and say Heather without people reeling back in horror and sort of thinking he's mentioned her name. So these people didn't know Heather, of course, but I was able to listen to their stories, gain hope from them, understanding. They listened to me, they were non-judgmental. They made me feel welcome and comforting. It made me feel secure that I wasn't on my own, because other people just don't seem to understand what it's like losing a child to suicide specifically. These people just don't understand.
When Heather died, John felt all alone, like he couldn't talk to anyone. His life changed completely when he walked through those doors to his first meeting.
And I found that a great comfort, and people would ask me, they wanted to know about Heather and ask me things about her, which was, my friends and family don't mention the name, don't talk about her. Very rarely mention the name. Yet these people, I hear Heather's name mentioned more often in this building than I do anywhere else. We have it on our name badges, we have, our own name, and then we'll have Heather's name. I have Heather's name and her age that she died. So, and we do that, put the name badge on when we come to the support group. So that's good, and I've got a photograph in there of Heather, so that she's with me all the time, and I can honour Heather's memory by the work that I do here. But what drives me really, Andrea, is the fact that I got so much comfort in that I got from that meeting, particularly that first meeting. Well, that was a start, of course, but since then I've got so much comfort and understanding in these rooms that I just want the door to be open, that someone who needs our services, and we wish that nobody did, but that's not the reality. We hear it time and time again with people that come here who've lost a child to suicide, that they have thought about it as well, and quite a few of them will say that Compassionate Friends has saved their lives. So to be able to do that and save somebody's life, it's all worth it. And that's what I hope, that we can keep those doors open and get that exposure out there, that people will know about our services, because it's a wonderful organisation to belong to, and it's just done wonders for me. It really transformed my life around completely. There was, more to life. There is life after the death of a child. So I've been able to rebuild it. It's not the same, never be the same, but it's a new normal there, and I can adapt to a new normal. And Compassionate Friends has given me the ability to be able to do that. And also the friendships that I've made here. I've been able to meet a wonderful woman, Compassionate Friends, who's a bereaved mother and a widow, so we have a great understanding, and it's just it changed my life completely.
This wonderful woman John is talking about is sitting right next to him. Her name is Sandra. Sandra lost her son Jared when he was 20 years old. In the main office at Compassionate Friends, there's a big picture of all the children. Jared's picture is hanging right next to Heather's. Underneath the two pictures, it says, "We are together."
Jared always had an ear for music, and so we got him into a Yamaha music school. That was in his early teens, and he went from playing keyboard onto electric guitar and Jimi Hendrix music, of all things. But he loved music and he loved dance. Yeah, he just did everything, and he excelled at whatever he did. So, and he always was praised by us as parents. Yeah. So, but I think Jared probably still had some low self-esteem. He never thought that he was good enough. Yeah, we didn't see it as parents that, yeah, we didn't feel that he was low, sort of, yeah, in his esteem. But yeah, come to think of it, would have been. You'd be always looking for reasons why, asking that question. Why didn't he want to be here? What sort of, why was he in pain? We always question why. And there's no answer, obviously. So I've stopped doing that now after a few years. I've just come to accept that it's happened, and I now have to go on with my life. And I know my son will always be in my heart. That, I just long for that touch, that cuddle that I used to have with him. He was a very lovable little boy, but very sensitive.
Sandra is a co-facilitator for parents who've had a child die by suicide. She thinks we need to be more open and talk more about suicide.
Yes, I think it's been taboo for a long time, that people just don't want to go there and hear about suicide. I don't know why. Whether it's maybe too close to them, that they have children the same age and they think that could happen to my child.
If we go back 10 years, just under 5% of our contacts were suicide-related concerns, and that's jumped to well over 10% of our contacts. So it's almost doubled over that period of time.
That's Tony. Tony's the virtual service manager at the Kids Helpline. This helpline is a free, private, 24/7 phone and online counselling service for young people between the age of 5 and 25. Since the Kids Helpline started up in 1991, there's been an increase in calls related to suicide.
If we go back even a couple of years ago, we had about 8,000 contacts in relation to suicide, and this year that's gone to over 10,000. We certainly see in the contacts we get to Kids Helpline that suicide is a growing problem, and we know the data tells us that it is one of the leading causes of death, if not the leading cause of death, for young people aged from about 14 onwards. So it concerns us, and I think the other concern, and certainly something that we're seeing, is an increase in contacts from kids who are getting younger and younger. So particularly that 10 to 14 age group, we have seen an increase in contacts from them over recent years. And I think even last year we had contact from about 60 young people under the age of 10 reaching out for support in relation to suicide.
Jenny's son was only 15 years old when he took his own life.
Getting your head around the fact that what you thought was your family and what you thought was a safe place wasn't. Why wasn't our family a safe place for Stephen? Why wouldn't he talk to us about what was going on?
As a bereaved mother, Jenny is openly talking about suicide and spending her time helping others.
Look, one of the things that I'm really aware of, I know our pain is enormous and it still is, but I've come across so many other people who've experienced pain too, and I really just admire the way people put their lives together and go on living. And so being part of that story and being involved with people who are doing that, I find, I think that's really, really encouraging.
Jenny volunteers as a group leader for the Bereaved by Suicide group at Compassionate Friends.
For me, to find meaning in life that includes Stephen, I wish it didn't happen. I wish I didn't have this part. I wish I never knew about Compassionate Friends. But the fact that that has happened to me and to us, it kind of keeps me connected to him in a positive way. It's a safe place where we don't put pressure on people. We just reach out to hold and be there. Some people might find that it's not for them. Some people dip into it. They might come for a year or 2 years and then not come anymore. And some people come when they have anniversaries or birthdays and they just feel that they would benefit from it. And other people come because it's the only place where they can say their child's name, you know, because life's gone on. People don't know them anymore, don't know their story. And so it's the only place they can really talk about their child.
Hello.
Hi, Heather.
Hi. Can you hear me okay?
That's Heather. Heather is another bereaved parent.
We need to talk about it more.
Yeah.
Talk about our feelings more. I was very, after Shannon died, I was, you know, thinking all these things go through your head, and I'm thinking, you know, maybe we need to, you know, our kids go to maternal health nurses when they're young, you know, for checkups along the way to make sure they're hitting all the milestones, and so maybe we should be looking at it from, you know, those early ages and have sort of age appropriate debriefings or counselling with the, you know, all these things go through your head, and you just think, how can we help our kids and our youth know that it's not the answer?
Heather's son Shannon was always surrounded by friends. He had just finished high school and he was about to have a gap year. But one day, he was gone. He was just 18 years old.
So my husband stood up at Shannon's funeral. There was 700 people there, and he said to them all that, you know, you've got to talk. You've got to talk to your friends, talk to your parents, talk to your neighbours, talk to your dog, you know, talk to someone. And I think a few people shared afterwards that had an impact on them, you know, that just, yeah, talk to your dog, talk to anyone, get it out, because if you know, we just can't lose any more people.
You know, I think we need to take a community-wide approach and have a look at all those different areas where young people are interacting and what trusted supports can be made available for them. The more we can do to educate our teachers, to educate other young people on how to support their peers. So it's about taking that community-wide approach, and really it isn't just on parents to do this, it's on everyone in our community who has a role in supporting children and young people to be aware of the signs and also to be available when a young person wants to reach out for help, and to make sure that they get that help and they get the support that they need.
If we don't talk about it as a society, nothing gets done. It just gets pushed under the carpet. So I'm a bit caught up with the whole, you know, how much do you talk about it? You don't want to trigger anybody. I'm so aware of that, but it's got to the point now, it's not working not talking about it. So maybe we need to be aware as a society. If we're not educated about things, we can't change.
Thank you for listening to this episode, although it might have been hard. Please call Lifeline on 13 11 14 if you have been affected by any of the content featured in this episode. Jenny once said that a takeaway for her was that you never know what's going on inside someone's head. Before I met John, Heather, Sandra, and Jenny, I had no idea what was and is happening to Australian children today, because no one talks about it. This podcast was produced for Mojo News by me, Thiis-Evensen.